Hello and welcome to the Pig and Whistle Tales from Azeroth. As always here at the Pig and Whistle Inn in Stormwind, I go through a variety of subjects with regards to World of Warcraft. So grab a bottle or a pint, sit back and enjoy. Today's subject, we're going to be going over Season of Mastery. Now obviously I went over this a little bit, a very tiny bit, in the news, the WoW news last week. But I thought that it would be best if I actually went over it as a completely different podcast, mainly because it is a new WoW, it is a new World of Warcraft, and it is something that a lot of people are interested in, and it's, something that's actually quite fun. And we're going to be looking at the sort of systems that they've added to it, the PvP changes and PvE and stuff like that. So first off, we'll obviously start off with the weekly events that are happening on retail. And that is the World Boss, the events and brawls, stuff like that. So it is currently the 17th anniversary of World of Warcraft. It's not the best anniversary, we'll say that, mainly because the whole controversy with Blizzard at the moment, it's not great. You can get special mounts though. You can kill Doomwalker outside the Caverns of Time, get 100% guaranteed mount. It was 1%, but they hotfixed it to 100%. So, go and get your guaranteed mount. And there are a couple weapons and stuff that you can also pick up, such as Akama's swords from Black Temple, stuff like that. The world bosses for this week are Aranamonos and Morgeth. So Aranamonos is in Ardenweald, and Morgeth is, stationed in the moor as usual. He hasn't moved for a while, neither has Aranamonos. The event for this week is a bonus event for Battlegrounds. So you get more honour and you can progress or upgrade your gear a lot easier with this increased honour rate. And it's just a lot easier for toons if they need a couple more pieces, because you don't have the conquest on your main to send them, some PvP gear, stuff like that. And the brawl for this week is the Shadowpan Showdown. Now this is a 5v5, you're all put into the arena, which is the Shadowpan arena, and you have to protect an NPC, and the enemy team have to kill your NPC, and vice versa. First one to kill the opposite team's NPC wins. It is quite fun, it is quite chaotic, and it's crazy. It is a bit crazy and it's good fun. But Season of Mastery. So for those of you that are not aware, Season of Mastery is World of Warcraft Classic, but it will stay in Classic forever. Now, we don't know when it will die. We don't know what's going to happen to it. We just know what we know now is that some changes have been made to it, and the raids are going to be, moved about a little bit, but we don't actually know if they're going to look to add new content after all 4 of the raids have been released in Season of Mastery. So you have WoW Retail, which is Shadowlands. You have WoW Classic TBC. And then you have World of Warcraft Season of Mastery now. So you've got 3 different World of Warcrafts that you can play. And they brought this one in as a sort of playground almost. I see it as a sandbox that they can do. Because you have private servers such as Project Ascension, Chronos 4 and stuff like that. Ascension does a lot of stuff, such as increased XP, Iron Man mode, everything like that. WoW can sort of utilise their ideas and probably take them, to be honest, because Ascension isn't actually legal, we'll say. It's, I believe, against sort of Blizzard TOS and stuff like that. It's something that they probably are inspired by, the Ascension, and they know a lot of people are interested in Ascension as it is, with the increased XP, the different sort of classes and how it all goes about. So they can really make Season of Mastery into a sandbox, or they can just sort of add content to WoW Classic, because it is still World of Warcraft Classic, the fundamentals are still there. They are just tweaking a few things, such as the ones that we'll be going through, but a little theory of mine is that they will add more content to it. They might do a raid or something. They might have a couple raids planned. They might add raids that, are in... How would they do that, actually? They might add raids that came in Cataclysm into like World of Warcraft, because Cataclysm obviously was based in Azeroth. It basically, changed the world a bit. You can add stuff like, is it Blackwing Descent from Cataclysm as a raid into Classic, because it's in Blackrock Mountain where Molten Core and Blackwing Lair is, but it is just a completely new raid for people who might not have experienced it, for people for people to see how it performs in a Classic sort of era. So I think that they'll add new raids when it comes to the end of Season of Mastery, after Naxxramas has been released and stuff like that. But I feel as if they could do so much more with this, and they have done a few tweaks which are very good, I feel. So the systems that they've changed are... There's a couple big ones. So this one is for all characters under level 60 will receive a buff, and this buff is called Adventure Awaits. Now, all this buff does is it increases your XP gained from quest turn-ins by 40%, and this also applies to dungeons as well. So it will grant additional bonuses to group and dungeon quest turn-ins. So you get an extra 40% on top of your 1,000, dungeon turn-in. So you get 1,400 XP. Now, this might not sound great, or this might not sound like a massive difference at all, but that will add up a lot. Over 60 levels, that will add up a lot. I play with a couple friends, and I've got, I'm just very casually leveling on it, but I can feel that. I can feel that 40% when I log in, and I can feel the quest turn-ins being a lot more significant, because there are some dead zones within WoW Classic, and the dead zones that I'm referring to are sort of like level 45 to sort of 52-ish, where you don't really know what to do. You're just sort of sat there like, yep, this is it. And the same can be said for around level like 41 to 43 or whatever. Any sort of around that level, it's very tough to figure out what to do. You might not have the quests that you want to do, so they might be like level 36 quests that you're doing, or they might be too hard. They might be level 45 quests and you're only level 41. So this will get you to where you want to be and should ensure that you hit no sort of dead zone when it comes to questing within WoW. And this is great, because whenever you'd be leveling another character, you'd always be worrying about that leveling experience when leveling from level 1 to level 60 in WoW Classic. But this will really increase it, and you won't be as put off by these sort of changes now, because you know that you can level faster just from questing alone, from doing group content and stuff like that. Another change is that in raid instances, players cannot benefit from world buffs, such as Rallying Cry of the Dragon Slayer, War Chief's Blessing, and Spirit of Zandalar. Now, this is quite funny, to be honest. I'm absolutely in love with this one. World buffs made raids very trivial indeed. You could power through so many bosses and not give a damn about their mechanics, and it was kind of stupid. It got to the point where a fully world buffed group with like really good Nax gear could clear Naxxramas, a 12 boss raid? 11 or 12 boss raid. I'm trying to count now. I'm really trying to count. 3 in each wing, so there's 9. 11. It's 11 because you got Saf and KT. Yeah, 11 boss raid, and they could clear it in under. They could probably do it in about an hour. Honestly, if they're so efficient with everything, if they did everything flawlessly, they could do it in about an hour. The raid, and this is a raid that, some people might not clear. They might need 2 days to clear it, such as like 3-hour windows on 2 different days. So 3 hours on Sunday and 3 hours on a Monday or something. And it's insane. But having no world buffs would probably put this group to... They would still be very good and very proficient at it. No flaws at all. But it would make them do it in, say, maybe 2 hours? So it would double the time, essentially, I would say. Again, these are very rough estimates, but I never liked world buffs. I absolutely hated them. I got the rallying cry and the spirit of Zandalar, but I didn't go the extra mile. I didn't care about War Chief's blessing as an alliance. I didn't care about Songflower for an hour. It wasn't great. I don't care about Diamond tribute buffs. It ruined the game for me because I'm doing a chore in that instance. I'm picking up these buffs just to be dispelled, pretty much. So I used to get them. During the early days of World of Warcraft, I used to get these buffs. And it was fun for a time, but then you obviously have people who would purge these buffs, and the time that you spent running to the place getting the buff, and then for it to just be dispelled, it wasn't fun. So after I got dispelled one time, I was just like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I don't see a point in it anymore. I'll get these two because they can't be dispelled, and that'll be it. I'm more than happy with that. And they are good buffs anyway. So seeing these leave the raiding scene in Classic is huge because it means that a lot of people watching raid content will see it a lot more in full rather than just people running in with 40 warriors slapping their head and like swords against this dragon and killing it within 30 seconds. That sort of thing. So I think this will be a really healthy change for Season of Mastery and those who want to progress raids and stuff like that. Another thing about this is that the buff and the debuff limit has been removed. So this is huge. So the buff thing doesn't really matter anymore, to be honest, because the only thing that you would... Actually, the buff might matter. That means that you can stack druids, possibly, in a raid, and they aren't as useless. So buffs obviously had a maximum, and when you had world buffs in raids, you wouldn't be allowing certain buffs to go on your character, because if you went above this limit, it would push buffs off that you already had, and it could push off these world buffs, such as really powerful buffs like Rallying Cry, Spirit of Zandalar, and stuff like that. So, but because that's not even in a raid anymore, it doesn't really matter. But you could try and stack druids for healing and stuff like that, so that could be funny now. Like an all druid raid, because there's no buff limit, so you can put like 40 rejuvenations on this one person. I think that would be quite funny to see, to be honest. The debuff limit is a lot more insane though, because what it allows is classes to not, or to use spells that they weren't previously allowed to use. So, I mean, this is very stupid, but hunters can use Serpent Sting, because Serpent Sting was just useless. It would just be a useless spell to use. It would take up a debuff limit, and you don't want that when you had like 32 spells that could be on the target. Warlocks can put all of their curses on. Curse of Agony, Curse of Corruption. Obviously, you won't use Curse of Agony. You'd more be like Curse of Elements and stuff like that. But Curse of, or Corruption, you could do... I forget the other curses, Immolate and stuff like that. You could do loads of different dots and stuff, and it might change up the meta on how people play their classes, potentially. So this could be a really good one. This could be a very healthy one, and I think that this is very good for the game in a Season of Mastery idea. We won't see this yet, because it has only just come out. We will see this when people start to raid, and we'll be able to see if it's healthy for the game or not. But I think that this will be a very nice mix-up in the game, to be honest. So, players who kill an enemy while in a group with one or more players at a much higher level than the slain enemy will receive significantly less experience. This makes sense, obviously, because if you... So, this is for boosting. So basically what you would do is a level 60 mage would hop into Scarlet Monastery or Maraudon or anything like that, and you would get paid for them to boost you. And obviously this level 60 is 25 levels, 15 levels above these targets. So these are significant like level increase and gaps, and this will prevent boosting pretty much. And this will kill the economy for boosting. But you can obviously still do this. You can AoE, like have a spell cleave group for multiple instances and stuff like that. So you can still do this. It can be Very fun to do with a group of friends if you're looking to do a dungeon, stuff like that. But if you are, looking to be boosted through Season of Mastery, it won't happen. I'm yet to see how much this will impact it, how much XP you get and stuff like that. I imagine that they'll tone it down to you'll get 80% less experience, so it will just be useless. And I think that's really good. I think that's going to be very good for the health of the game, because people will be looking to do multiple dungeons throughout every single level bracket, because you've got the 40% increase on your quest turn-ins for dungeons and groups and stuff like that. I think this will be very healthy for the game, and I think this is a very good change in my opinion. People might cry about not being able to boost a new ult or something like that, but for me this is, you've got to put time into your character to enjoy them. Now, I've boosted characters, I've been the boosty, I've boosted, I've done loads of things with boosting, I've made gold off of it and stuff like that. It's not a fun way to earn gold. You get a lot of gold from it, I'm not going to lie, but it's not a fun way because you're constantly under pressure, you're having to focus quite heavily and stuff like that. And you always get people who just, bitch and moan and cry and, aren't there, they AFK at the wrong time, they peek and pull something and die, and it wasn't fun. So I think this is a very good change in the game. The calculations used to determine the experience awarded for enemies that have been tapped by one player or a group but killed by another player are adjusted. So an example of this is if, say, I tap a mob, I tag a mob, it's called, and a group kill it, loads of other people kill it, I will only get 10 XP. I'll get 10% of the XP that it would have given me because I only did 10% of the damage to it and stuff like that. So this one's not too bad. It prevents people from, just going around tapping every single mob and people having to kill it because it's on them for some reason, because they still have aggro. So I think this isn't going to be one that affects many people, and you won't see this in-game. You won't feel it in-game at all. The Looking for Group tool from Burning Crusade Classic is present in the Season of Mastery. Now this is big. This means that people can actually see who is looking for what dungeon. So if you want to do Ragefire Chasm in Orgrimmar, level 15, you can sign up for that. You can actually sign your name down and be like, I'm looking for this group. And then people can message you and see that you are actively interested in doing this dungeon. And that's huge. That's absolutely huge. This isn't the Wrath of the Lich King dungeon finder. This is the TBC one. So you still have to interact with people. And I think that this will get a lot more use out of it than it will in TBC. Because in TBC, not many people use it, in all honesty. But this will be very good for the health of the game and the longevity of it, I believe. So, very good change there. Very good change. Chat reporting feedback improvements are available. They added in-chat confirmations for players who report misbehaviour, as well as for those that someone may report. When reporting a player for verbal harassment or other disruptive chat in-game, players will receive a confirmation when there's an action against that player. And when your behaviour has moderately changed for the worse, you may receive a warning message so that you can modify your behaviour before receiving a penalty. When accurately inappropriate behaviour from a player is observed, the system may skip a warning and take immediate action. /ignore now blocks characters on the ignored player's WoW account. This is good. So this is a lot of taking out the trash, as it were, in these sort of games. Because WoW has a lot of nice people. WoW also has a lot of awful people. A lot of awful people. That stems from the game all the way through, the company of Blizzard and stuff like that at the moment. But this is to make it so that it is a lot more friendly within the game. Now, I like the warning that people may get if you're being a bit of a dick, and that's very fair and reasonable. I like how they will tell you if something has, or if there's action that's been taken against that person. And I also like that the ignore blocks every single, or blocks that person on every single one of your characters on that WoW account. I think that is very good, and it's a very nice, just quality of life thing. And I'm glad that they're looking at the reporting system, because it feels like it doesn't get... It feels understaffed is the best way to look at it. And which it probably is. Not many people can look into these things at one time. They probably don't have a lot of people doing it. They probably got 5 people looking at thousands of different reports from people, and they've got to, see the authenticity of that report and see what happened and stuff like that. It's absolutely insane. So this is a nice quality of life, and I think it is very, very healthy for the game. Now you've got content sort of updates, so significant adjustments to Onyxia's Lair and Molten Core. So I went over this last week, but bosses and other creatures that are part of boss encounters have had their health increased, and they have also had gone through some augmentations to the existing boss mechanics, and new mechanics have been introduced to challenge players more so in Season Mastery, because a lot of people know the mechanics in old WoW Classic. It's going to be nothing new, so this will really shake it up, I feel. These are big, by the way. I like these ones. So the availability of mining and herbalism nodes have been significantly increased in all zones, as well as max level herbalists having a slight chance to obtain a Black Lotus when looting high level herbalism nodes. Western Plaguelands and Eastern Plaguelands will enjoy new spawns of Plague Bloom. There has been adjustments and additions to herbalism nodes in dungeons, and there has been an increase in availability of certain crafting materials such as elemental fire, elemental earth, and elemental water. All of these are very good, because if you found a Black Lotus, it's your lucky day. They spawn, there's one in each zone that they spawn in the zone, and it's one every 15 minutes. This was insane. You had people farming this, and if you got lucky, you got lucky. Like, this was about 100 plus gold on your server, most likely. The chance of getting a Black Lotus from high level herbs makes sense, because what you can get from mining, high level mining nodes such as rich thorium veins, you can get arcane crystals. And arcane crystals were the jackpot for miners, as it were. They were the ones that you wanted to mine from that rich thorium vein. So having the chance of a Black Lotus is really good, and a very good choice on their behalf. Stuff such as like the elemental earth, fire, and stuff like that, these are used in crafting protection potions, and people would just farm these when they needed them. So Naxxramas, you needed some water protection potions, or elemental water, I believe, for frost protection for Sapphiron. You needed nature protection for Anchorage, and there was just, everyone was farming these things. You would have level 60s in a level 30 zone just killing these earth elementals. Literally, these elementals were used for a quest for level 30s, and the level 30s weren't getting a look in, because all of the level 60s were just farming it for this elemental earth to create these nature protection potions. So the higher drop rate, the less time level 60s will be there farming, and the more time people can actually utilise the mobs to what they are used for. And, it might be a good way of farming gold, because boosting's gone out of the window and stuff like that. It might be a better way of farming gold, who knows. So these are really good changes, the profession stuff, and I think that that's really good as well. The herbalism nodes and stuff like that in dungeons is really good, mainly because you don't necessarily see it a lot. I don't think you see a lot of mining nodes, to be honest. I swear you don't see a lot of mining nodes in dungeons as well, but I'm probably just going crazy over that. Now, this is some other content that's been updated. The High Elf Watchers have appeared in Ironforge and Undercity, seeking to chronicle adventurers who bear a soul of iron. Now, this soul of iron is hardcore mode. If you die, you get a debuff, a permanent debuff on your character that reduces your stats by 1%. it basically marks you saying you failed Iron Man mode and you've got to live with this. So what Iron Man mode is you can't die. That character that you are playing cannot die until you reach level 60. Can't die at all. So it's quite a challenge. It's something different, and it's something that people will, can probably do even after they've got multiple level 60s. Because it's like, I want an Iron Man mode. I want to try it on a super hard class like a warrior, or I want an easier time on Iron Man mode. I want to go a mage or a paladin to heal myself or stuff like that. But there will always be that replayability of, I could probably do some Iron Man mode, and then if you die, it's like, fuck. Okay, I can do this. I got to level like 34. I can do this. I want to delete and try again, stuff like that. So I think that'll be really good. I think that'll be a lot of fun, and there'll be a lot of people who try it and fail, and there'll be a lot of people who succeed, and it will be good. Good to see that. Some dungeons have enemies. Some dungeon enemies have received slight adjustments. So in Stratholme, all undead creatures in Stratholme will now gain immunity to snares for 30 seconds after entering combat, and gain immunity to roots after an additional 30 seconds of combat. Maraudon. Many creatures in Maraudon will gain immunity to snares for 30 seconds after entering combat, and gain immunity to roots after an additional 30 seconds of combat. Maraudon again, 30 seconds after gaining immunity to root effects, enemies gain 50% increased movement speed. Maraudon and Stratholme, crowd control of any type except roots or snares will reset the snare immunity, root immunity, and speed buffs. Zul'Farrak. Zombie trolls in Zul'Farrak now drop fewer lucrative items. Most of the loot previously dropped by trolls or zombie trolls have been redistributed to other enemies in the dungeon. So this is quite fun. So there's more. There is more. So denizens of Blackrock Depths have grown suspicious of criminal activity and will now attempt to stash their most valuable items away if they suspect a thief is in their midst. Yeah. So what does all of that mean that I just said? So Maraudon is a place where people get boosted, their characters, and Stratholme is where people get boosted as well by 2 mages. Now, the way that a mage does this is very specific. You're relying on your slows, you're relying on your roots and stuff like that. So having them immune to roots and snares and slows, and they increase movement speed after a while, yeah, no chance. A Maraudon run takes about 15 minutes per reset. Imagine them running for 50% increased movement speed after about a minute in combat. Yeah, there's no chance. They're really cracking down on the boosts and how to gain gold as a mage and stuff like that. And that's obviously very at the forefront of the Blackrock Depths. So the way that rogues made money is they went into Blackrock Depths, they pickpocketed everything, and they opened some lockboxes in there. They can't do that now. After about 7 or so pickpockets, they'll get a thief debuff, and they just pick pocket lint from there on. And pocket lint sells for 1 copper per pocket lint. So you're going to be there a while if you want to farm pocket lint. It's absolutely insane. They've really cracked down on this, and I think it's really good that they've cracked down on the boosting. I think that it's still a very good talent, the boosting, and I think loads of players are very talented on boosting and how that they've boosted in the past. Just to have that sort of talent with you and know that you can do it in the game is more than enough for me. I know that I can do it, and I'm quite happy that I've been able to do it, but I think that it's healthier for the game that it goes away. And having mages farm this stuff constantly inflates the gold on servers very high. It does really inflate the raw gold that is on the server at that point. So people will find a way to make gold. They will find a way, but this really cracks down on the boosting side, and how lucrative it is for mages to boost and stuff like that. There has been a reduction in the cost of training, the training riding skills and purchasing level 40 mounts. I don't know if that's true. I didn't see it. I'm not too sure. I probably looked at the wrong mounts, to be honest. I think I looked at level 60 mounts. So it probably is true, but I just looked at the wrong mount. Diamol is available from the launch of Season of Mastery. The tribute chest in Diamol can no longer be looted by players not on the tap list for King Gordok himself when the encounter is defeated. So this change basically means that hunters can't sell Diamol tribute run chests, because a lot of the loot in the chest is very lucrative and it is your best in slot before you go into raids and stuff like that. So this stops hunters making gold that way. Changes made in patch 1.10 to dungeon rewards will be in place at the launch of Season of Mastery, including the availability of idols, librams and totems, and adjusted drop locations and drop rates of such items from like Hand of Justice in Blackrock Depths and stuff like that. So totems and all of that are really important. The idols and librams, they came out late in Classic, I think around Encourage time. So about phase 5? I think phase 5 about then. So this is really good. Obviously it's a big staple point to WoW or these classes, and I think that it's really good that they keep them in at the very start. Changes and additions made to reputation vendors and items, drops in patch 1.6 through 1.11, will be in place from the launch of Season Mastery, with the exception of a couple. So items on vendors and items associated with reputations are not accessible until a later content phase. This is such as Zandalar Tribe, so ZG Rep, and the world drop plans for Titanic Leggings and Sage Blade will be made available in the future content phase. So anything that is locked behind a reputation from a raid, pretty much. So Zolgarub is the Zandalar Tribe, so you can get a lot of lucrative items from them. Bloodvine stuff for casters, multiple Zanza pots, and a lot of good potions, stuff like that. Summon Elemental Templars and Dukes in the Twilight Hammer camps in Silithus to facilitate the completion of the Dungeon Set 2 questline at the launch of Season Mastery. So you can complete your Dungeon Set, your 0.5 tier set questline at the very start. So get on that as quickly as you can, I guess. And please note that the rest of the Cenarian Hold and Silithus activities associated with Encourage will remain unavailable until the AQ war effort kicks off, so in a later phase again. Level 50 class quests will be available at the launch. This is really good because these quests give you some very lucrative items, such as idols or weapons or diamond flasks for warriors, stuff like that, trinkets. The healing provided from Diamond Flask trinket no longer benefits from plus healing or spell power. This was quite funny. So Diamond Flask gives you a certain amount. It's got an on-use effect, and what it does is it will heal you and give you a bit of strength. Now the heal is very awful. It's 9 healing per 5 seconds, but you could use healing gear to increase this. So if you had healing gear that gave you 50 extra healing, it would be 59 healing every 5 seconds. So you could get 1,000 healing plus per 5 seconds. So it was really good. It was very powerful, and it was quite funny because you would have warriors wanting healer's gear just for Diamond Flask set. It was quite funny. It was very good. Lastly, the PvP section. There's not a lot to this, but they've doubled the maximum amount of weekly ranking progress gained. So basically you're going to be getting your ranking twice as fast as what you did in WoW Classic. So instead of it taking 3 weeks or 4 weeks to get to rank 13 to 14, it will take 2 weeks. And that's really good because not many people have that much time anymore with COVID restrictions going back and stuff like that. Warsong Gulch, Arathi Basin and Alterac Valley are available from the launch and the Season of Mastery. and this includes their reputations and rewards. So if you get exalted with these reputations, they do offer some lucrative items that you can get, and they are very good as well. You've got multiple offhands for casters, trinkets and stuff like that. The Season of Mastery brings back Horde and Alliance guards, NPCs, removed from Alterac Valley in patch 1.11 from the original WoW. I don't necessarily know what this means. I do. It means that they've brought back guards in Alterac Valley, but I don't know what guards they took out. So I'm kind of curious as to what this is, and I want to see how OP these guards are. But at the same time, I don't want to play Alterac Valley. So it's one of them things. But I think this will be quite cool to see. And at the launch of Season of Mastery, they will enable the PvP objectives in the Eastern Plaguelands. These are the towers in the Plaguelands that increase your damage done by 1% per tower that you capture, up to a maximum of 5%. So it's not bad. It's not a bad damage increase, and you certainly want this if you're doing Strath. It's just, just a nice damage increase pretty much. So that is Season of Mastery pretty much. These are the main topics, and it's good. It is really good. I think that the way that they're going with Season of Mastery is very good, and it really does mix it up a bit. I definitely like the new mechanics in the raid. I like the extra XP that you get. I like the Iron Mode challenge. I like what I'm hearing at the moment, pretty much. Season of Mastery came out a few days ago, as of this podcast going up, or this episode. So make sure that you check it out. It is great fun. I've been having a blast on it with some friends, and yeah, I think it's definitely worth it, to be honest. It's something that you get to do. You get to relive your classic experience, but you can do it completely different. So if you really went hardcore with WoW Classic, you can take it so easy on this, and that's what I'm doing. I'm taking it really easy. I'm just playing with friends. I don't want to do any of the raids. I want to watch the raids on my Twitch, but I just want to chill out. I want to chill out, have fun with friends, and that's what I'm doing. If people chilled out and had fun with friends, but really want to push it and go crazy, then they can do that as well. It's a third chance for some people, but it is a second chance for most people who never got to play Classic, or who didn't get to play Classic the way that they actually think they want to now, so they can experience it both ways. But yeah, I definitely would recommend it, and it's a good time, I can tell you that much, and what they're doing is a step in the right direction for Season of Mastery. Hi there, Warcraft fans. It's just me again. Wanted to thank you for your time in listening to this week's podcast. I love making these for you all, and I couldn't be happier in doing so. Seeing the downloads go up and up each week is amazing. You can show your support more by something as simple as rating this episode, or by dropping me a question via email that I can answer in a later podcast. To take it that extra step further and really show that you love the content that's being produced, you can check out the Pig and Whistle Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee page. Either of these would be a massive help to continue what I'm doing right now for you guys. Thank you all very much for your time, and go with Valor, friend.